I'm Lou. I'm on my third week of Mounjaro and it's going miserable at the moment, and the future's looking pretty bleak too. There's a number of reasons why things aren't going right at the moment. I'm only on day 5 of week 3 and the last couple of days have been really tough, and I've debated a lot whether to even do this video and to put it out there. Today is the 15th of August, and so far this week I've had issues with my jab, with my Mounjaro supplier, and what my future with Mounjaro is even going to be. So if I start by explaining what happened at the start of the week, Monday evening is when I take my Mounjaro injection. I'm still on 2.5 milligrams at the moment. And they say that every week you're supposed to rotate the position of where you inject. And I've already done each side of my stomach so far. So this week I wanted to try the thigh. And I now know that I would never use the thigh ever again. I felt it more when administering it in previous weeks, when administering it into my stomach, where I virtually didn't feel anything at all. I didn't film myself doing it this time. There was bleeding afterwards, and I was aware for the rest of the evening after having it that I wanted to rub the area where I never had that before, and obviously I abstained from rubbing the area. And here I am 5 days later and the area is bruised, and I haven't had any bruising so far from the Mounjaro injections. Those are the more sort of physical reasons why I wouldn't use my thigh again. But I really believe by injecting it into my thigh that it has not been as anywhere near as effective this week as it has been the previous 2 weeks. So far this week I've struggled to commit to my morning workouts, and I've not had the energy that I have had the last 2 weeks to do my morning workouts. My sleep has sort of stayed the same. I've reported in previous videos that my sleep has been really dramatically affected when taking Mounjaro. It's probably the biggest side effect that I've had to deal with, that it's disrupting my sleep with getting to sleep and staying asleep, waking up frequently throughout the night and feeling generally just quite tired and fatigued all the time, which is not something I'm completely alien to, but it's certainly worse with it. And there was progress being made as the weeks were going on. However, that seems to have halted this week. I have definitely noticed as each day has gone on this week that the food noise has been creeping back in. The cravings are creeping back in. The not hungry feeling that I was having before, and I wouldn't call it a fullness feeling, but I just was never feeling hungry. That hasn't been as strong this week. It's not that I feel hungry, but I haven't felt not hungry, if that makes any sense. I feel that my appetite has been stronger this week. I have definitely started craving more foods. There was one day in particular, I had such a sweet tooth and was just thinking throughout the day about what I was going to be eating in the evening, even though I have a food plan in place and I don't need to be thinking about that. And I haven't been having those kind of thoughts. They were creeping back in. And I was thinking about what could I be having after dinner, which again, I've just not given. I just haven't even entertained the thought of that recently. All these thoughts have started to come back. I've noticed that I have been able to eat. My portions they're not drastically big, but they're bigger than they have been in the last couple of weeks. Everything that I've noticed, I'm only comparing it to the last 2 weeks, the last 2 to 3 weeks where I've been on Mounjaro, and it's not been the same. It's definitely reverting back to how it was before I started taking Mounjaro injections. There has been a lot of noise and activity going on in my gut, which was something that I dealt with before Mounjaro, and that since taking the injections, that completely stopped. I mean, I wasn't getting any discomfort. There was a little bit of queasiness in my first week, but that's not the same as the discomfort that I usually felt in my gut. And I mean, a lot goes on in my gut all the time. So there's definitely been a lot more activity, a lot more gurgling. My bowels this week have been more loose than they have been in previous weeks. I believe that my inflammation is back. I've noticed my socks around my ankles. I was noticing that whenever I was putting my trainers on to do my workouts, I was looking at my ankles and realising they didn't seem as puffy and my socks weren't digging in as much. But in the last couple of days, I've noticed that they've started to look a bit puffy again. Where before I wasn't feeling bloated, I am now after eating. And the biggest thing that I've noticed this week, which has been the most disappointing and very disheartening and frustrating, is that I've actually gained weight. Now, I weigh myself every day and that works for me. I'm okay. I'm happy to do that. And I look at the averages. And so far this week, every time that I enter my details into my tracker, my weight is creeping up. And I think by this stage now, I've put on over £1 this week, which might not sound like a lot. The scale is moving in the wrong direction. And in previous weeks, I've had 1 or 2 gains during the week. And then when I weigh myself the following day, it's back down again. But so far this week, it just keeps going up and it's heartbreaking. It's really, like I said, it's disheartening, it's frustrating, it's worrying, alarming, confusing. I just, when I'm talking to Billy or I've been messaging my brother a lot, I'm just saying I cannot comprehend how this is happening. I'm taking an injection that's supposed to be helping me lose weight. I just don't understand it. So that's how I've been with the jab. So I absolutely will never use my thigh again. I did come across a video before that mentioned, I only read the title, I didn't even watch the video, but it said where you inject matters, and I rolled my eyes at it. I thought, as long as it's in your system, it's going to work, but clearly it really does, or it does for me. I don't know if anyone else is the same. I'm not even going to attempt my arms. I'm just going to go back to my stomach. I cannot wait for Monday night, once I've arrived in Spain, once we've got to our apartment, where I can then take out my injection and get it. And then hopefully Tuesday morning I'll wake up and I'm back to where I was in the first 2 weeks of taking Mounjaro. So before I move on, I want to make a full disclaimer out there that I am not a health professional. I don't work for any health industry company. And I'm not here to promote or demote or discourage or encourage any kind of for what company to use or any kind of behavior or how we should be using these injections. I am purely just sharing my experience. As I explain what's happened this week, I want to take you back to before I was on Mounjaro and the conversation that I had with my doctor. Now, these drugs will always say that you need, and pretty much any drug out there will always say you should have a conversation with your GP or your doctor, your medical team, whoever it is that you deal with, prior to starting any new medication. And I had been researching and looking at Mounjaro for a really long time. Last year, I spent a lot of time researching Ozempic, and I hadn't even heard of Mounjaro until this year. And I had an appointment with my doctor in July and we discussed these medications. It was a regular routine appointment. I see my doctor every 6 months for other health reasons. And my doctor and I spoke at length about these drugs. The reason that these drugs came up is because my doctor and I always discuss my weight, and my doctor knows the amount of effort that I have been doing in recent years to try and lose weight, because I do not embark on anything without trying to do as much research as possible. I want to know as much information as possible. I'm a very cautious person and I'm very thorough as well. And I actually enjoy doing this kind of research. I love anything to do with the body and nutrition. So I often discuss with my doctor the recent books that I've been reading, or if it's a fitness regime that I'm on, how I am adapting my diet, whether it's to do with fasting or is it with fermented foods and all these kind of things. So this was a regular part of our visit, and it was the first time that I brought up these GLP-1s and we were talking about the side effects, and we discussed at great length there are side effects involved in taking GLP-1s. But there are also side effects of me remaining overweight as I am because of my BMI. My height, I am only, Christ, here we go. I'm really getting into the nitty gritty of the details now, because I am just under 5'2", like a quarter of an inch. So I'm like a quarter of an inch. But to some people that makes all the difference. So I'm just under 5'2" and I am about 200 pounds. I am easily about 70 to 80 pounds overweight. And it puts me well into the obese category, depending on what BMI calculator you're looking at. Sometimes it's just obese, other times it's your obese class type 1 or type 2. I'm in the type 2 category. The next stage up from me would be the moderate obese. So I have a lot of weight to lose. And my God, my doctor knows that I have been trying so hard in the last couple of years, and I really have been making an effort. My friends and family know, my partner knows. There isn't a single day in the last 5 years that I haven't been trying to lose weight. So my doctor and we discussed what risks are involved with GLP-1s, and then we discussed what risks are there of me not taking these drugs and remaining overweight, which is getting any type of cancer, developing diabetes, heart disease, stroke. I could be getting thyroid issues. Anything could happen to me purely because I'm overweight, because when you're overweight and obese, it puts you at the top of the risk of developing any kind of illness. And so we discussed the pros and cons. Regardless of what I do, I'm going to be at risk. And it's about deciding which risks do I want to go up against. Now, the biggest reason that we were having this conversation is that I was wanting to find out, was there anything available through the NHS, which I wasn't eligible for. I said to her, I don't know if I will be able to afford it financially. And which I can just barely just about afford. And because of all the ongoing issues that I have with my gut, I was asking if my doctor had any objections. I was discussing a lot of my gut problems with my doctor because for the last couple of years, I've had a lot of various different things going on in my gut. I've had a lot of investigations going on into my gut, still trying to figure some things out. Some things have been confirmed, some things haven't. I was asking my doctor, am I at risk with anything that's going on in my gut just now? Is there any sort of cautions that I should be taking? Is there anything that you're concerned with why I shouldn't be taking these drugs? My doctor actually said that due to a lot of the inflammation that I have in my gut, that being on the GLP-1, because it slows down your digestion, that I would actually likely benefit from being on it. And that obviously once I try it, if I'm reacting badly to it, then to stop it immediately. The biggest thing that came up at that appointment is the CT scan and an MRI has detected over the years that I do have gallstones. Now, what my doctor confirmed with me is that there are no signs of biliary colic, which means that I'm having no symptoms, no problems with the gallstones that I have. My doctor explained that there are people that go their entire lives with having gallstones and never ever having an issue with their gallbladder. And that so far I seem to fall into that category. And so we discussed what the issues are with being on GLP-1s whilst having gallstones. And with all the research that I had done, I said it's not so much if you have pre-existing gallstones, it's the fact that you are likely to develop gallstones. And the reason that people do that is it's those that are losing weight too rapidly. Whether you're on GLP-1s or not, if you lose weight rapidly, you are likely to develop gallstones. And if you're developing them that quickly, it could cause problems. But I don't believe that there was anything out there that said if you have existing gallstones and then you take a GLP-1, it's going to make the situation worse. Again, I discussed this at great length with my doctor. I said it is a risk that I'm willing to take. I am willing to give it a try. I want to see if this works rather than doing nothing and a year down the line still being the same weight with all my efforts not getting me anywhere. My doctor agreed. My doctor is incredibly supportive, and they know that with my history, with all the research that I do, with all the books that I read, with everything that I try to attempt, that I do everything very cautiously and I'm very thorough and I won't go into it unless I've really considered all of the details. But what they did say is when you have your consultation, just make them aware that you have them, that we've discussed it, I've authorised it, you're happy to go ahead even with the risks, and that you are asymptomatic, that your gallstones are not causing you any issues. The only reason that we know that you have gallstones is it was an incidental finding due to these other scans that you had for another issue. The scans weren't done to detect if I had gallstones or not. So I discussed this at great length, and it was another 2 weeks before I even purchased. When I ordered them, I was prepared to discuss it at my consultation. And I decided to go with MedExpress because they were the most reputable company. I also had a discount code, which was very useful at the time. And and I watched so many other YouTubers and they were all with MedExpress as well. And I thought, this is the place to go. And so I waited to discuss it at my consultation, and I completed the form and there wasn't a consultation. And my request to be on these was approved, and 2 days later my delivery came through and I started on the Monday. So when I first took my injection, I was paying attention to everything that was going on. I was making sure if I feel the slightest bit of discomfort, I know I need to get help. I know who I need to phone. I know how to get to my nearest hospital. You know, my family knew, my friends knew, everyone knew what I was going into, except MedExpress at this point. And so the second week on Mounjaro, I received a call from my doctor letting me know that they'd received a standard letter from MedExpress to inform them that I was on Mounjaro. And then my doctor asked me, how did it go at your consultation? And I said, well, that's the thing, there wasn't one. And they were as shocked as I was. I said, all my research, everything online has told me that you cannot get this medication without a consultation. I said, it's not a consultation, you're just completing a questionnaire online. It's as simple as that. I asked what the letter said, and they even gave me a copy of the letter as well. My doctor, as supportive as they are, they said, you really should let them know. And in all honesty, it went against my personal ethics. I said, I don't feel right lying about this. But at the same time, if I tell them now, I'm cautious that they won't look at the full picture, that all they will see is the word gallstones and they'll just red flag me. My doctor printed a copy of my scan and wrote information on it and even signed it, so that when I contacted MedExpress, which was by email, I've never spoke to a person the entire time that I've dealt with them. All communication is through email. And even then, it's just the customer service team that you're dealing with. Explaining everything that my doctor had said, all the medical jargon, all the correct medical terms, to explain to them that it was an incidental finding, that I'm not suffering anything. I explained to them where I was on my Mounjaro journey, that I'm only on 2.5 milligrams and everything's going fine, and I'm prepared and happy to lose weight at a steady pace. I do not want to be losing it rapidly. I then get a message back from the customer service team that says, thank you, we've updated your file. And that was it. So I went back clarifying, is it okay that I put in future orders? They then passed that over to the clinical team. And it's still unclear whether a pharmacist actually looked at it or whether I've actually dealt with a pharmacist this entire time. But again, nobody contacted me. They had all my contact details. They had my doctor's contact details. And instead, I just got a response from the clinical team that said, because you have gallstones, we can no longer prescribe you. And I was so disappointed when I got that email. I thought, I'm doing everything right. I'm doing what I'm being medically advised to do. And there's going to be people watching this that said, well, you shouldn't be doing it anyway if you knew that you had gallstones. Like I said, this is my experience. We're all individuals and I know the risks, and I'm prepared to deal with those risks. And I didn't go ahead with it until I'd had the conversation with my doctor. I believe that I've done everything right by me. So I went back to my doctor, explained to them the response that I had. My doctor said, I still think that you've done the right thing in letting them know, and explained what would happen if MedExpress were to contact them for information on me. And this was useful to know because my doctor confirmed that they cannot divulge information about me unless you give consent for them to do so. So I just thought that was useful to know, and it might be useful to other people out there to know that. That's like a rule with the NHS. It's not just a Scottish thing. So I did email MedExpress back. I told them everything that my research told me. I explained everything that I know with regards to the gallstones, and there actually could be so many people out there already that are taking Mounjaro and they have gallstones and they don't even know about it because they haven't had a scan. It just so happens that I've had a scan and that I'm trying to do the right thing by notifying them, but they just completely declined it and basically said that they won't prescribe me anymore. So I was livid, I was furious, I was upset, I felt lost. I have been debating my whole Mounjaro journey now. What do I do? I know there are other companies out there that I can go with, but I chose MedExpress for a reason. But I have to admit, the reasons that I went with MedExpress in the first place, I didn't feel that I really got the experience that I thought I was going to get going into it. The fact that I've not spoke to a single person, the fact that you don't actually get a consultation, it's just a questionnaire. That is not the same thing at all. It's still maybe a pharmacist that's approving it at the end of the day. When you get that prescription, it's just a squiggle on a box. Like that's all it is. So, it was so... it felt like I was being punished for doing the right thing. At the time, in my anger and frustration, I was messaging my brother, and he said the perfect thing. He gave me a quote: "You can do everything correct and by the book, commit no mistakes, and still lose." And I was like, that really does sum up. I feel like I get punished for doing the right thing all the time. It's like I do everything by the book. I do everything by the rules. You know, I'm so cautious. I try not to take risks. Like I said, I know there's going to be people out there that think by doing what I've done that I'm taking a risk. I know what the risks are. I also know what the risks are if I don't do anything. If I remain as I am, just overweight, can't lose the weight, like what kind of future have I got? Like my future, like my life has already been so debilitated because of the struggles that I deal with being overweight, with having fibromyalgia, with having all of the gut issues that I have, with suffering migraines. The list goes on. I am always trying to do something to fix and correct my situation. And this was just another part of my journey to do that. And not even 3 weeks in, I was being told that because I was trying to do the right thing, that I wouldn't get this medication anymore. So this was happening all along whilst week 3, I've not been responding well to it, that I've been gaining weight, and then simultaneously I've been reading in the news that the cost of Mounjaro is going up by like 170%. And I just think, I've been dealt with really, really difficult cards at the moment. And it was a bit too much at once. I'm trying not to get upset. Yeah, so it's been a really tough week. It's been really difficult to deal with. I was talking to my best friend who's in America. She and I do voice notes to each other every day. I absolutely love her. And it was when talking to her about this, about what am I going to do, I can only just about afford to do it just now. So I'm now going to have to find another supplier. I'm going to have to start again. And I'm going to have to try and work out how can I afford this going forward. I don't even know. A lot of what is being issued in the news is what the 15 milligram pen is going to be, like the highest cost, like that's going up to over £300. I think as a result of them putting the prices up, that people are going to start using these pens more dangerously. More people are going to be using them for microdosing. More people are going to be manipulating them because they'll be trying to continue to use them but keeping their costs down low. I just hope that there's going to be, I just pray that there's going to be some sort of backlash from the prices going up, that in a couple of months they start to come back down again. I mean, these drugs could be saving so many people. And especially in the UK, where our NHS system is crippled. If so much of the nation were to lose weight and be healthier, think of the services that could free up. Think of the surgeries that wouldn't happen anymore. Think of the amount of people that may potentially not develop cancer. Like, the world is going to be such a better place if everyone who needs to, if everyone that's obese loses weight. They don't need to lose all their weight, even if they just lose the 20% that it claims that it does. And so many people are not going to have that opportunity anymore. They're not going to be able to do that. And that those that get their hands on the pens could end up using them wrong. People could start microdosing. They might, is everyone going to do the same amount of research? Or, you know, it's really worrying about where this is going to go. And then I don't know where I'm going to go with it now. And I'm away next week. I'm away on Monday for 10 days, which means I can't order anything until I come back because everything is a cold delivery. I can't have deliveries stacked up in my garden for when I come home. I need to wait until I'm back. I believe that so today is the 15th of August and the price increase happens on the 1st of September. So I have a very small window at the end of August to try and find another supplier and affordably order my next pen that will take me to sometime in October, I believe. So I will have I'll have the whole of September really to kind of see how things pan out. But one thing's for sure is that I know with 100% certainty I can't go on without these drugs now. This is what I was talking to my friend about, that I realised as I was talking to her, I realised how much I don't want to be without these drugs. Because as I said in one of my, I think it was the end of my week 1, I explained that the whole food noise being away, that it was worth taking these drugs just for that side effect alone, never mind everything else that it gives you. And I was telling her that with how rubbish this week has been with injecting it into my thigh, that I've not been feeling the effects of it so much. That when you have lived with food noise for as long as I have, which has probably been since my teens, so you're talking over 20 years, and then for a very short, brief period, it completely vanishes. It doesn't just quieten down. It doesn't just get better. It's gone completely. And then you start to hear it again. It's like, it's the worst feeling. You never want that to come back again. I know for certain I don't want that to come back again. And I've had glimpses this week of it coming back, and it's horrible. It's haunting. I don't want that. I'm worried now about being away on my holiday. I'm worried about what's going to happen when I come back. I, for the last couple of weeks, have been visualising a certain future for myself, and now I don't know how possible that is. So I think that's everything that I want to say. I know that there will be some people that watch this that won't agree with the fact that I want to continue, knowing that I have gallstones. I hope that there's more people out there that agree with my reasons for continuing. But I really want this. I want this to work so much. And I'm willing to do what it takes. I did say to my doctor, even if, God forbid, even if I did end up in hospital because something happened to my gallbladder, even then I would still be thankful that I tried. And they challenged me on that thought process. They said, would you really? And I'm like, yeah, I know. I've witnessed people that have had issues with their gallbladder. I know how bad it can get. And that is how serious I am about trying. That's how serious I am about wanting to achieve being healthy. That's how much it means to me. I want nothing more than to be healthy, to be fit, to lose all of this excess weight that really holds me back in so many areas of my life, because I feel like my 30s have been completely ruined and that I've not been able to live life the way that I should have, the way that people should. I hope that there's people out there that will continue to support me in my journey, and that just know that if I am getting bad side effects from this, I know that there may come a time that I have to stop taking it. But if I don't get those bad side effects, I want to continue. And so far I have been researching other suppliers where I can get Mounjaro, and I can't believe how many more places there are from when I researched a couple of weeks ago. There are places online where you can buy Mounjaro that I haven't even heard of before, and I'm genuinely looking at the website to see, is it a legit pharmacy? Like, is this a real company? You know, because the last thing you want is to be buying fake. I want to make sure that I'm getting the real product. So hopefully after this, there will be some more positive uploads to come. If you have anything to say below, I just ask that you please be kind. I'm very new to this, and I know that people out there will have a lot of opinions. I don't intend to rattle cages. I just want to share my experience and be as authentic and honest as possible. And if anyone's gone through a similar experience, or if anyone has been taking Mounjaro and they know that they have gallstones and they haven't had any issues, then please, by all means, comment below and let me know your experience as well. It would really be nice to know that I'm not the only one. There may be so many of you out there that is on this drug and you do have gallstones and you don't even know about it, and you may never know about them. And I really don't mean to be disrespectful to those who have had issues with Mounjaro and their gallbladders. And if you've suffered, I am sorry for that, and you may be wanting to advise against doing this, but we all need to remember that we're all different, and what is one person's experience may not be the same. That's why we come together like this, to share our experiences. And in the meantime, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for watching.